with our media briefing. Uh, we're really appreciative to have representatives from many of our chambers of commerce on today, because this is a holiday like no other, and it's going to be very challenging. It's been challenging all year for our local businesses, and now, of course, it's the holiday time, which is very important. So I'd like to have some of our Chamber of Commerce representatives talk about what is happening in their specific areas. And if Frank Giesler is on the call, we'd like to go ahead and start with you and tell us what's going on in the peninsula.
Hello, so this is Paul Farmer from the Salinas Valley Chamber, known as the less good looking Frank Giesler. Frank had to go off on another call, but he and I spoke, and he gave me a brief update that I would like to share with you on behalf of the Monterey Peninsula Chamber. Is that okay?
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, so for sure. So he told me that they are the Monterey Peninsula Chamber is finalizing an additional $100,000 with the Community Foundation for Monterey County in a small business relief fund. They have already deployed about $1 million in grants to about 100 businesses. So they're now working on an additional $100,000 for that fund. In addition to that, they are doing a business walk in which they go out and physically walk in a socially distanced manner, but talk to businesses about how they're being impacted and what resources they need. So that's going along very successfully. They have reached out to the other chambers in the county as well to participate along with them. Finally, the Small Business Saturday, many chambers have taken to, instead of calling it Small Business Saturday and focusing it on one day, they're promoting on their social media as Small Business Season, so that it goes on more than just that one day. So those are some of the major initiatives that they've been working on that they wanted to share with you. So again, on behalf of Frank Giesler, thank you for the.
And so, Paul, since we've got you all warmed up, do you want to go ahead and tell us what's going on with the Salinas Valley Chamber?
Sure, thank you. So when Maya asked us to participate in this call, my staff and I reached out to three of the major areas within the city. We reached out to the Salinas United Business Association, which represents many of the vendors in the Alisal or the east part of Salinas. So each of them responded right away and said they're happy for any support that they can get. In downtown Salinas, they're doing a number of things, and I'm looking at a paper here, so rarely do people see me with glasses, but they have festive holiday decor. They're doing a tree for peace. They have a bingo game where you get a card, and when you participate with participating retailers, stamp your card, and then you're entered into a drawing to win $200 of gift cards. So there's a number of things that the Salinas City Center Improvement Association is doing, and you can find more information on those things that I just mentioned at salinascenter.org, which is their website. Northridge Mall has dozens and dozens of local and regional retailers. Remember that the tax dollars that are spent at Northridge Mall are an important source of revenue for the city of Salinas as well. Traffic has been light at the mall. All of the retailers are enforcing strict mask and hand sanitizing protocols, so they're keeping the environment as safe as possible. If people are concerned about being in a large public space, they can order online and pick up at the store. And in fact, you can order things and then either text the store or call them when you're outside, and they will come bring the merchandise to you. So most of the stores are having big sales going on right now until Christmas. So please come out and support all of our great stores. That's the update from Northridge Mall. And from the Salinas United Business Association, which, again, the east side of Salinas, the Alisal, many are Hispanic-owned businesses. They're all much smaller businesses than large chains, mostly. So the update that I got from Alejandro, the executive director for Suba, is that they understand their businesses in Suba have had a downturn of about 17% in the second quarter in sales tax compared to 2019. It pales in comparison to other areas in Salinas, but nonetheless, these are mom and pop shops, and the drops in revenue may mean a number of them may have to close permanently. He knows of one business that has paid over $60,000 in rent since the pandemic began. They've received very little assistance from the federal government and have blown through all of their savings to stay open. If they have to close again, they more than likely will close for good. So they also have sales going on with the businesses there. So they're appreciative of having anybody support those businesses. Many of their businesses are going to be putting up holiday lights during the holiday season, and Suba will be showcasing and promoting the area as much as possible. So the Salinas Valley Chamber is supporting all of those efforts, and we thank you for the time and encourage you to remember the importance of helping keep these businesses as viable as we can. That completes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we have Janet Bessemer on the call. She's the chamber manager for the King City Chamber, and she's going to fill us in on what is happening in your little section of South County. And you're muted.
Sorry.
But thank you for muting when not speaking.
We well, obviously we're a much smaller town with not quite as much activities going on. We do have a house holiday decorating contest and several other small activities going on. Our majority of our businesses here in town are small boutique businesses. Many of them are Hispanic owned. So their businesses probably aren't as affected as some of the bigger stores, but they're down. What I'm hearing is anywhere from 10 to 20 to 25%, depending on the store. Some are continuing fairly good businesses because they are Hispanic owned, they are Hispanic patronized as well. And we have a large Hispanic population. So restaurants also are, of course, dealing with the struggle with dining out. Some of our restaurants are down at least 25, if not 50%. And there's a couple that may close, but most of them are struggling to stay on. We're encouraging all of our residents to go take out. If you can't eat out, then take out. So that's the message we're trying to give our residents. And there has been a sizable takeout business with many of the restaurants. Other than that, the city does have a program going to help businesses, but they have to contact the city for that. There is some monetary funds, grants that they can be allot to some businesses. So they have to reach out to the city for those kind of things. And that's about all that's going on in King City at the moment. We have a lot of charity fundraisers going on. We have a lot of those. We have a lot of people asking for donations of stuffed animals for kids. We have parades and things like that going on, but they're very low key this year, not like our usual activities. So,
well, there is always something going on in King City. So
there is always something going on. It's just a little lower key this year. Yes.
All right, thank you, Janet. And then Rick Aldinger, I hope I've said it correctly, Vice President of the Big Sur Chamber of Commerce, and River Inn, correct?
Correct. Yeah, General Manager of the Big Sur River Inn. Thank you very much. Yeah, and good job on the name. You did better than most.
And so tell us what's happening in Big Sur.
Well, I think as probably everyone on this call realizes, Big Sur is an incredible, one of Monterey County's incredible outdoor resources. And that being said, the businesses here have also been affected by the pandemic. Throughout the pandemic, well, not throughout. Once outdoor dining and lodging were able to get back up and running early summer, most of the businesses tended to run about 30% below normal levels, give or take a little bit. And so that has remained throughout the pandemic. With the little bit of a bright light of lodging in November. November lodging in Big Sur was at or near record levels. And so I think with distance learning and remote jobs, that families were able to take advantage of a little bit more free time this fall. The weather really cooperated, as you all know, and people came down to spend some time throughout the month of November. The month of December has changed. It's December, and typically this is the time period between Thanksgiving and Christmas is going to typically be one of the slowest periods of the year for us down here. And so that being the case, there are many of the businesses here are offering various rooms and dining promotions. Big Sur's allure has always been about being outdoors and connecting with nature, and it's no different now. We're kind of uniquely positioned to take advantage of the outdoors, and right now, as the weather has cooled down, and with the fact that we all know that there will be some rain coming, many of the properties are taking additional measures right now to increase guest comfort, especially when dining, as long as that is still allowed. And so to take advantage of the many offers that are being put out, there are two locations to check, and many of the businesses here are partnering with the Monterey County Convention and Visitors Bureau on their attractions and promotions page, so you can check there. And also the Big Sur Chamber of Commerce website, which is bigsurcalifornia.org. Will provide listings to all of the businesses, links to all of the businesses in Big Sur. You can check out individual offerings there. Lots of good dining and room promotions going on now.
Wonderful. That's great to hear. And I know some people have to leave at 12:30. Paul, you answered one question. I'm going to go ahead and take some of the questions that we've got in chat right now, but I didn't know if Janet or Rick, if you also wanted to chime in on this question. With Governor Newsom hinted at more strict stay-at-home orders earlier this week, if this ends up being as strict or more strict than the order issued back in March, is there a concern that this could be a death blow for a lot of businesses in the area and hotels also?
I guess since I'm not muted, I can start with that. And obviously, it's a huge concern for the businesses, I'm sure, throughout the county, throughout the state, and certainly in Big Sur as well. It's been a tough summer in Big Sur in particular. The summertime is when the sun is shining, we try to make hay, and of course that's been a bigger challenge this year for everyone. And the prospect of trying to get through the winter with a similar sort of lockdown and travel restrictions that we experienced this spring is going to be tremendously difficult, and there will be a number of businesses that will struggle to survive that. I know that many businesses were fortunately able to take advantage of some of the federal programs from earlier this year, in particular the payroll protection program, an absolute lifesaver for many, literal lifesaver. And I think if we go through another round of travel restrictions and lockdowns without a similar, a very comprehensive package of aid coming from the state to the feds and locally, that there will be several businesses that will struggle to survive this winter.
Thank you, Rick. Janet, do you want to chime in on that question?
Yeah, earlier in the year when everything first closed down in March, some of our businesses were really struggling. And of course, gradually they were able to reopen with restrictions. If we have to close down again, it could be very serious for many of our small little mom and pops. I don't know how long they can survive if they have to close for any period of time. So we are just keeping an eye on that and seeing what happens with the stricter rules and what that entails. We don't know yet.
All right, thank you. And then I have another question. Paul, I see you answered it in the chat, but I'm going to throw it out to Janet and Rick also. Have chambers been helping small businesses with learning how to do some online sales, create other alternative plans like more curbside pickup or local deliveries, you know, something creative?
Yeah, we have a number of our businesses have, you know, curbside pickup, and the city has been very cooperative in that. They have given these businesses some like posts to put out in front of their place on 2 or 3 parking spots that are for pickup only, so that they will have places for people to just drive in and pick up. That's been very helpful. Online, I don't think that many of our businesses in town, like I said, they're small mom and pop stores. And so I don't think any of them are at all are online.
Right. And Rick, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I guess so. You know, Big Sur is a little bit different in that respect. You know, curbside pickup, not a big deal in Big Sur. The chamber has been very active with the community, though, throughout the pandemic. We have been hosting weekly Zoom calls with local businesses as well as local organizations, nonprofits. We've been working closely with the Big Sur Health Center, for example, and making sure that all of the businesses are communicating actively with our healthcare providers locally in Big Sur, and making sure that the entire community understands how to stay safe and first of all to prevent positive cases of COVID, and as well as when there is a positive case that we have you know, direct access with our local healthcare providers on making sure that we're following all the proper protocols in I forgot the phrase, contact tracing, as well as keeping the rest of our workforce and community safe. And a local business, I won't say the name, partnered with the health center earlier this fall to put on a 1-day drive-through flu shot clinic as well.
And Paul, I do see your hand up.
Yeah, I tried to do it digitally, and I know I've been busy in the chat box, but I just wanted to make one comment, and I may be accused of being an optimist in the challenging year of 2020, but the chambers have been working together much more closely than we normally do. We've been having weekly meetings since COVID began, and since we have Zoom, it eliminates, you know, Janet can participate in a call with people on the peninsula from the safety of her home in King City. So there are certain opportunities for collaboration, which we have been doing. And the suggestion that I believe it was Pam made about us helping train local businesses to be able to do curbside pickup and things like that, it's easier for us if one of us takes the lead and we can share it with everybody throughout the county. So we will bring that topic up when we have our meeting this afternoon. And finally, I do want to thank the county. Supervisor Lopez has been participating on those weekly calls, and we've had a connection with several people from the county. I want to thank Chris Donnelly with the Workforce Development Board and the county for fronting $25,000 fee for up to 30,000 businesses to be part of the California Business Employers Network, which allows businesses to have a resource if they have legal questions related to COVID or anything else. So we thank the partnership that we have with the county on that and other things. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll make sure Chris gets the message. I don't have any other questions in chat. Does anyone else have any questions for our chamber participants? I don't see any other hands up, and no other questions have just come in. And if anyone has I'm not hearing a question. So we'll wrap up our topic with the chambers. If you guys need to step away for other issues, we really thank you for joining us and staying with us today. All right, we're going to move on with still another COVID issue, but we've got Rick Encarnacion from our Environmental Health Bureau, who's going to talk about updates in state guidance for restaurants. Hi, Rick. Thanks for staying on the call.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Rick Encarnacion, Assistant Bureau Chief for the Environmental Health Bureau, County of Monterey. I'm here to let everybody know that the state of California has recently released some updated information useful for restaurants and food facilities. There's more clarity on outdoor dining tents. Specifically, the new document outlines what are outdoor operations, specifically those being conducted under a tent, canopy, or other sun shelter, as long as it's no more than 50% of the structure's perimeter has impermeable walls, so that it would allow sufficient and unrestricted outdoor air movement, resulting in cross ventilation. What we're doing here in the County of Monterey, we're trying to make sure that we provide that updated information. We have staff that go out and provide education. We're updating our website so that the links are current. As you know, the guidance is updated, and we're trying to do our best to make sure that people, the businesses actually understand what they actually need to do with respect to the updated guidance. So the guidance for restaurants has been updated, the individual guidance for the restaurant industry. They've also broken out for wineries and breweries. For the restaurant guidance that's been posted, I implore every operator to make sure that they read and understand it. The principles are the same. For readiness and preparedness against COVID, it's still the same principles: wear face coverings, wash your hands, sanitize surfaces, practice social distancing, don't go to work if you're ill, and above all, make sure there's a plan and a person in charge, and there's a degree of responsibility that needs to be practiced for each facility. So we have that for updating our guidance. If there's any complaints that the public may have, specifically our health department, we're the same people that do restaurant inspections, as well as any health inspections for businesses that are required a health permit. So if anybody has any concerns with regards to those kinds of businesses, they can contact us at 755-4505. And also we have our website, mtyhd.org/COVID-19-EHB, and I'll put that up in the chat so people can see it. And I see there's a question also in the chat about enforcement. May, do you want me to go through that?
If you want to, and I just want to let you know, we're having a little, you're having a little static in your audio. And I don't know what can be done. I don't know if you can fix that from there. But if you wanted to, this question is more broad.
Sure.
And maybe perhaps you could just take the environmental health portion of enforcement.
Correct, yeah, because I can't speak for the police department, but like I mentioned, and I hope everybody heard, we're the same people that do health inspections, and the same department or bureau that's responsible for conducting inspections in facilities that have a health permit, like restaurants. So as everybody may know, there is an ordinance for the County of Monterey for the unincorporated area to require face coverings. And we do have an enforcement team that does issue citations, and those citations can equal $100 for the first offense, $200 for the second offense, and $300 and $500 for the third offense. In addition, like I mentioned, we're the same people that do the health inspections for food facilities, and all food facilities have to follow all applicable laws, which COVID definitely is a primary law that needs to be followed, we could suspend the health permit if found in violation of these codes. So if there is a notice of violation that's issued, just the same that we do for pest infestations, lack of hot water, sewage in the food facility, a food facility can be closed, can be suspended with notification. So just to make that clear, that's the extent of, at least in terms of what the health department is doing to help with the control of COVID. In terms of like this specific question, holding accountable with respects to the mask ordinance.
Thank you very much, Rick, and thanks for taking that question so right off the bat. And then if Rick, if you would stay on the line, if we have any other questions, I'd like to get to some of our other presenters today. We have Luna Mohammed from the Office of Emergency Services, who has been working on a community resilience survey and is going to kind of walk us through where we are with that right now. Hi, Luna.
So I'm going to share my screen real quick, if that's okay. So I just wanted to give you guys a brief review of a project that Monterey County Office of Emergency Services has been working on. I was hired, my name is Luna Mohammed. I was hired through UASI, which is Urban Area Security Initiative grant. It's a federal grant to develop a community resilience framework for the county. That framework is pretty close to being complete. I do have a draft online and I'll share that web link with you shortly, but I wanted to give you guys a real brief review of what that framework is, and as Maya said, of a community resilience survey that it has been published and is available for any and all community members to take to provide input for this framework. So real brief, I would like to start just by telling you guys what community resilience is. So resilience is the ability to prepare for, cope with, overcome, adapt to, recover from adverse events like emergencies or disasters like the pandemic we're currently going through. So really that ability to not just prepare, but if we can't stay on our feet during a disaster, we want to be able to get back up and learn from it and grow and become better capable of managing the next disaster that comes our way. The community portion of that is really how we come together and work with one another to create that resilience. So the community resilience framework for Monterey County is really a guide to how we can become more resilient. It's an effort to bring the community together to look at all of the different ways that we can be resilient, all of the ways we're lacking, and really provide recommendations on how we can bridge the gaps between our strengths and our vulnerabilities. The purpose of it is to look at those capabilities and strengths, the risks we have, the needs we have, current projects we have that help meet those needs, and lessons we've learned from past and current emergencies, and to provide some recommendations on how we can bridge those gaps, like I was saying. Now, with that said, this framework is a living document. The purpose of it is to be useful as we go on with life. And as you guys can tell, emergencies happened and they can be long and they can last for a while, and we learn as we go. And we're going to learn from the fires we experienced and the pandemic we're experiencing and everything and anything else that comes our way. So with that said, this framework will constantly be updated to match our current situation. So there are 4 real goals to the framework. One is to reunite the community. We often work in our own little bubbles, so it's really to try to cross those sectors and have healthcare working with preparedness, working with schools, both at the county level, but at the city level and in the unincorporated area, really trying to just bridge all of those gaps. To understand our community, a lot of the framework information is pulled from surveys and plans that were already developed in this county, along with the community resilience survey, which was developed to broker more feedback from the community and meetings that have been had. And the goal of it is to be accessible to everybody. The draft currently is in English. We are working on translations to get it in Spanish, and fingers crossed, maybe a few other languages. So that is one of the hopes, not just to understand our community, but for the community to understand emergency management as well. To empower, so this is really what are we already doing? How can we empower people to continue projects that really strengthen our community, and how else can we strengthen our community? And to engage the community, to hear back from people, to have those conversations that we oftentimes don't end up having because we're so busy with everything else that goes through our days, and especially in emergency management and preparedness. So the framework is broken down into 6 portions. There's a community profile. It provides some geographic and demographic data on the community as a whole, and then it breaks it down into the Northeast County, which is the Salinas area, the West County, which is most of the coastline, and then South County, which is the Salinas Valley. It provides a brief history of the county and those different sectors and the different disaster risks we have. Then it looks at preparedness, what we've already done to prepare, where we're at with preparedness, again, based largely on surveys that have been taken of the community, and what actions we're currently taking to be prepared, along with recommendations on what else we can do. Followed by mitigation and sustainability. This is really looking at hazard mitigation efforts like fuel reductions for fire mitigation and building codes for earthquake and flood and fire mitigation, along with the longer term mitigation efforts to combat climate change, including environmental protection and conservation. Then it moves on into connections and engagement. And this is really the heart of the framework. It's looking at how we connect, how we unite, how much the community trusts one another, how much they trust their leadership, how included people feel in this community, how discriminated against they feel in this community, and what are those effects to preparedness and to disaster response and recovery, and how well we are engaging and advocating for the different groups and different communities within the larger Monterey County community. And then the last 2 sections really look at the other sectors of our community, because every single sector is embedded in disasters. And as we see with this pandemic, everything affects everything. We're intertwined. We don't live in bubbles, even though sometimes we act like we do. So basic needs are looking at housing, food, water, and healthcare. And it again relates to how we've managed them during disasters, how they've been impacted by disasters, and what are the best responses we can take to protect these different sectors and help these sectors during disasters. And then available opportunities looks at employment, education, and then those things that help foster work and education, which are transportation systems, communication systems, and childcare. So that's the general review of the framework. Again, it is available to review now. It is in draft form, so it is not complete as of right now, say about 90% complete, but we did want to make that public so that everyone has a chance to look at it. Even after publication, I would like to say there is a place where you can go on the resilience webpage, which is right here, and I'll put that in the chat as well for you. And you can always provide feedback. These surveys that we created are also open indefinitely. And the purpose for that is, again, this is a living document. We constantly want to hear feedback. The more input we get, the stronger this framework and more useful this framework is. And like I said, it will be available in English and Spanish. So as I mentioned, we created a couple community resilience surveys to help provide feedback from the larger community. The hope prior to the pandemic was to do a lot of community meetings, but that in person and get a lot of feedback that way. That isn't feasible, obviously, right now until this pandemic is over. So this is our #1 way of getting feedback currently from the community. So the community resilience surveys, there are 2. There's an organizational survey and an individual survey. The organizational surveys for all businesses, government departments, cities, county, any organization in Monterey County or who serves Monterey County. So anyone who works with, supervises, or owns one of those organizations or manages one of those organizations, please take the survey. The individual surveys for anybody who lives, works, studies in Monterey County. We only have 90 responses right now. That is not enough to find any significant types of patterns. So I really, really want to encourage as many people to take this as possible. It is available in English and Spanish. The links are there, and they're also on that resilience webpage that I showed you guys. And the results, I've developed all of the results as of right now. I'm working on the infographics and just the visuals of it, and that will be uploaded. I was hoping to upload it this week. It will most likely be uploaded early next week. I'll continuously be uploading new survey analyses as I get a significant amount of new respondents. But again, to truly represent the community, we need a lot more responses. The surveys really are asking what you're proud of in the community, where you think there are gaps, what recommendations you have to make us more resilient. What have you done to be prepared for disasters? What have you learned from the disasters we have and are currently experiencing? So it's about 15, 20 questions, and it's really helpful to help develop this framework and also just to understand where our community stands right now. So please, please, please do encourage as many people as you can to take these surveys. And yeah, I just wanted to share a little bit about what we are doing. Hopefully once we get everything published, translated and published, I'll come back on and give you guys a little bit more meat into what's in that framework and what we found in the survey analyses. And if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. I'll put my email in the chat and I'll put that web link in there as well.
Thank you very much, Luna, for that look. And then I'm hoping we still have Kelsey Scanlon on the call. We had to take things a little out of order. Thank you for hanging in there with us. Can you tell us a little bit about the webinar tonight for disaster recovery? We're kind of pivot from COVID to fires.
Hi, yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I have somebody down the hall talking. And I apologize for not being on earlier. I was hung up on a phone call. So the webinar is actually tomorrow night on the 3rd, not tonight. It's at 5:30 p.m. and it's specifically about debris removal. The program for government debris removal is about to begin, and the deadline for either opting in or opting out is December 15th. So if you have a destroyed property, regardless of whether or not you're planning on participating in the government-sponsored program, you need to either submit the right of entry permit or the opt-out waiver. You don't have to have the full application for debris removal submitted if you're planning on doing it on your own, but you do have to submit the 3-page opt-out waiver by the 15th. Failure to submit either the right of entry permit or the opt-out waiver will result in abatement by the county at the cost of the property owner. If you have questions, you can call us directly. I will put I'll have Maya send out the phone number. It's also on our debris removal webpage at www.co.monterey.ca.us/recovery. And people can call us directly with questions. But the debris removal webinar is ultimately where we're hoping to answer a lot of questions. Cal Recycle has started their assessment of where they're planning on working. So the faster property owners get the right of entry permit submitted, the better we'll know where Cal Recycle is planning on working first. So highly recommend that you do that. Encourage your neighbors to do that. And like I said, if you have any questions, please feel free to call us. Oh, and then the other thing I wanted to mention was that if you have a property that does not have a destroyed structure on it, but you have trees that are dead or dying as a result of the wildfire, and they are in close proximity to a roadway, they are eligible for removal through the debris removal program.
And so in order to do that, you do the same process as the debris removal program.
Yep, you submit a right of entry permit and describe that you only want your trees affecting the right of way removed.
All right, thank you, Kelsey. Thanks for staying on the call and giving us that update. And yes, the webinar's tomorrow. Thank you. All right, and so we've got one last presenter. I'm really pleased to have Lauren Suansupa from our Department of Social Services. She's got some, she's going to tell us about a kind of a really interesting way that Monterey County and the city of Salinas are working on getting operations going for the Housing Navigation Center that's coming online. Hi, Lauren, tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, through our county-city partnership, we right now do have the RFP, the request for proposal, out for candidates to operate the now named Share Center. That is the permanent homeless services navigation center that's under construction right now at 845 East Laurel Drive in Salinas, kind of near the Natividad Medical Center. It's very exciting that we are inviting the community to engage in the process of interviewing the candidates for the operator of the Share Center. We have received some proposals, and we have scheduled a online virtual interview in which we're inviting the public to participate. The interviews will be scheduled for Tuesday, December 15th. It'll be from 6 to 8 p.m. We will have a Spanish language simulcast available, and I'll put the link into the chat so you can see that. It's also available on our Facebook. We've got some flyers out providing the link for the public to join in. We're hoping, there is opportunities to have the public interact and engage in the process. There will be a couple of polls, even an opportunity for the public to select one of the questions that the candidates will be asked, and just be able to kind of play a role in identifying who the operator for this important facility will be for our community.
This is a really unusual method of choosing an operator. What was the trigger for taking this route?
Yeah, we did have that online survey that was open throughout the month of October, in which we had a lot of really good community response, as well as service providers response. And, we got a lot of input about how the community really wanted to be involved. And so being able to include them also in the candidate selection process is a way to kind of honor that. This center is really important in that, we're engaging in our community. We want to be a part of the community. And to that, the community should have a role in how the facility is operated and who's going to run that.
All right, thank you very much. And then just if you could stay on for a few more minutes in case we have some questions. I do have a question that came in for the health department, and I'm not sure we can answer all of it, but Karen Smith is on the line. And Karen, would you be able to talk about what is the current guidance on who should get tested?
Certainly. So people with or without symptoms can be tested, especially important for those who have had close contact with someone who is sick or has tested positive for COVID-19. And then, of course, our healthcare workers, first responders, the caretakers to high-risk individuals, and other essential workers who have a lot of contact with the public should be tested. And since we just finished with the Thanksgiving holiday, if you were with at a gathering or with some people and someone was ill, we encourage you to go and get tested. And of course, we've added the Castroville a testing site that opened this week. And then today in King City from 2 to 6, there's a testing at the King City Library. And hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll be able to announce a drive-through testing site in South County. So we're real excited about that.
And then you might know the answer to this. The other part of the question was, does the Monterey County have any rules requiring travelers to quarantine? And I think that the state has issued that guidance on travel, correct?
Correct. So if you have been out of the the state, you need to quarantine for 14 days.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for that. And then I don't know, we don't have Dr. Moreno on the call. Can you answer any questions about vaccine distribution plans? If not, we'll forward that to Dr. Moreno.
I can generally tell you that we have been planning since the beginning to how we're going to distribute vaccines. And that's one of the reasons for the last 15 years we've been doing flu clinics, because we've been planning for such an event. We're all actively planning. We still don't know when or how much we will get. It is the federal group that does it, when I'm going to draw a complete blank of the the priority groups, but the first priority group is healthcare providers and nursing home residents and workers. So that's about as much as I have right now. The two that we've most heard about, the Pfizer and the Moderna, are going before the FDA in the next couple of weeks. So we'll know from there.
All right, thank you for that. And I can certainly forward, for the reporter that asked, I can forward that question also to Dr. Moreno to see if there's anything additional that he could add. So that's all the questions that we have in chat. Does anyone have any other questions that they would like to ask any of our presenters? Well, okay, here's one that just came in. And this is not a question for anyone that, this is regarding contact tracing and other issues that, Kelly, I'm going to have to forward this question to Dr. Moreno or the health department for a response. I don't have anyone on the call that can answer this particular one. So other than that, no other questions. That will wrap up our briefing today. Thanks very much for staying with us on kind of an unusual day we had today. And we'll see you next week.